Captains of Industry, brought to you by Airtel.
Hello and the warmest welcome to this edition of Captains of Industry. You know, it probably takes a petrol head to run a successful car business. That's certainly the case for Renault South Africa. It's a company run by a certified race car driver. Xavier Gobille is here today to discuss his journey from the track to the boardroom. This managing director of Renault South Africa is firmly in the driving seat, and today he's our captain of industry. Thank you so much for being here with us. 2010 seems to have been a good year for Renault internationally. We're told that there's almost full recovery of local sales and increased market share globally. What's the trick?
I think for Renault it was a very good year. I think we're getting out of the crisis like Mr. Gonter, in a stronger position we've never been. Out of the 15 top markets, we're gaining market share on 14 of them. So that is not only one country, it's not only one product, it's across the board. Renault is doing very well. I think we've just placed, I think we've done 1.7 billion euros cash flow. So that's just giving you the power of the company.
I mean, when the world was at the worst of the recession, you took a bold gamble and unveiled 6 new models at a time when people weren't buying cars. It seems to be paying off, but what led you to have that sort of audacity?
I think the question is, basically you have to watch what is the situation, and you don't have to be focused on what's going wrong. You have to also to capitalize what can be good and to prepare yourself. A crisis got to end. And if you manage only according to what you can see now and not prepare for the future, you're going to fail, because every good or bad story has got to end and you need to prepare for the next one.
I think for many people, you know, they're beautiful cars, Renaults, but there's a credibility crisis, and I'll explain to you why. I mean, you had the situation in the late 70s where there was a recall of Renault cars in this country certainly, and then disinvestment, etc. And then you relaunch into the South African market, and then again there are issues of clawing back market share, and then there are service problems and quality problems. So although you make beautiful cars, there's a sense that they're not very reliable cars.
I think in terms of reliability, I really believe that Renault have made a lot of change. Just one figure, let's speak with data. Between 2006 and 2010 on the global one, the warranty has been reduced by 57%. So actually, the main problem I'm getting with my network is the car are not failing anymore, and they are complaining because they're losing a part of revenue. Really now, the car are very, very reliable. I think we've got on the top 3 everywhere in the world. We are on the top 3 most reliable. Whatever brand we're talking about, Renault is one of the most reliable brands. Yes, we've been challenging in 2006 situation, but let's not be drag back with the perception. Let's look at what we're delivering today and don't live in the past. And today we can claim, and it's the reason in South Africa we got 5 years, 150,000 kilometers. Do you believe that I would just launch such warranty if I was scared my car to break down? Never.
How do you respond when people say, Renault, French, va-va-voom, all style, no substance? How do you respond when people say that?
I'm very happy with the va-va-voom and the flair and the beautiful cars, and that's how I want to focus on. Regarding French, we're not French. Do you know that 60% of my cars are actually made in the Gauteng in South Africa? So we're not French, we are an international company. In my company, we've only 2 French people left. I think most of my exco are South African citizens, and we all behave, and we were all taking the green and gold color during the World Cup. So no, we are not only French company.
I mean, you launched the successful campaign for 110% customer satisfaction, and that's on the back of a lot of customer complaints about these issues, safety, reliability, quality, that I've mentioned. How have you gone about addressing some of those missing links? Because I think that must have been a really low point of your leadership, having to fix serious technical issues.
I think I've made a plan with 3 scopes. And 3 scopes are key. Fix the past, manage the present, prepare for the future. And because the attitude, the mindset is different if you want to fix the past. Fixing the past is to face your own sin, to face your failure, and not to be scared to look at what you've done wrong. Managing the present is to identify, to deal with your customer. And prepare for the future. What we were talking about is to see that we don't have to make any decision today to jeopardize the future. And that's what we've done in Renault South Africa. So even in the toughest and darkest day, we were always looking at the future and facing the reality. And there's no problem here you can't fix as long as you're ready to face it.
The strategy, just in terms of day-to-day, how you've gone about it. I know that you were very keen on reducing the branch network, dealership network, having fewer dealerships and having more technicians, sorting out some of those technicalities. And now that you're growing, do you need to reopen some of those dealerships?
We did already. I think the Renault network hasn't been as big as it is now. We've got to 49 dealerships. In South Africa, 90% of the territory is actually covered. So already this phase of shrinking and expanding is done. We've reached the right level. Just to give you the growth we've been, when the market was doing -25, Renault has done plus 70%, and last year plus 50%, and we're expecting to carry on this growth, and we've tripled the volume in a few years. We've got the best market share we never had since 2006. That's the reality of Renault today. The challenge we're facing now is people still think about 2006, and we haven't shifted the perception. But the reality of the figures is, look at it, we're not the same company anymore.
Why are you struggling to shift the perception?
Because, you know, there's always in business or whatever, in a relationship, you've got the time lag between reality and the past. And Renault has shifted so quickly, so the customer already are paying for with the fit. I think they're voting with the fit. But the overall perception, like you were raising, you were talking, the first thing you were talking about, you were talking 2005. But let's talk right now, and it's not the same company at all. And that's something what I'm talking. My main challenge is just to open up and say, look at us right now, what we are, what we do, and how good we are.
Do you think it's a question of brand perception that people are holding on to the past when Renault had a few errors? Or is it a function of the aspiration of the local consumer? There are lots of German cars on the road here.
I think it's just a natural thing that we always live a little bit the past with the mind, whatever, if you've got a good friend, he's been good with you, you will be very forgiven. And if somebody has done something wrong to you, he's going to recover your trust, is going to take some. It's just a human factor. And we have to accept, and don't blame anybody. We have to work harder to deliver more in order to recover the situation. But nothing wrong. I think it's just a challenge, it's not a problem.
You're obviously operating in an environment where South Africa is really serious about being seen as a developmental state. The president's just delivered his State of the Nation. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Various ministers are coming up with policy proposals. Everything is in line with creating jobs. And in terms of the Industrial Action Policy Program, there's a key focus on manufacturing, particularly the sensitive automotive industry, and a need to boost capacity and to create more jobs in that sector. I know you're building some cars in South Africa, but how do you see yourself as part of the solution to South Africa?
I'm glad actually we've already anticipated. We've invested in a country with Nissan 1 billion rand in the middle of the crisis when some people were getting out. We already anticipate was the call to the nation because we believe with this country need jobs. And the only thing I want to say is we're already building 60% of the car we're just selling in Roslyn. The question is, what I will be glad from the government is let's buy more car locally manufactured. And I will be, if you want to fare it to just to incentive the global world to build cars in South Africa, what would be the best reward just to see all the government and para-government buying cars actually made in the country by their people. And I'm not sure it's always true. It's always the case.
What are the challenges you've experienced working in this environment? I mean, some of your rivals or competitors have said that, you know, if subsidies are removed, import duties, all those kinds of things, if there's a drastic reconfiguration of policy, they would disinvest from South Africa because it's already quite an expensive environment in which to operate. You've got to import the technology, the skills aren't sufficient, the labor is politicized. Is that your experience?
I'm thinking just, if you look at the globe, okay, you've got 80% of the market sitting in the North Hemisphere, and South Africa is just down under. It's just a basic logistic cost. If you want to access to the automotive market, whatever the US, the Asian market, the European one, you've got an extra cost in South Africa. Just the logistic. You need to get some parts and you need to send the car back. So definitely the position of the country, despite the political, the efficiency of the workforce, but just the logistic factor is a small market, a 500,000 market, very small one, and far away from the global market. So definitely, if the government wants just to take into account just the logistic cost, the natural cost to put into cars, they need to subsidize the industry, because the natural factor would be the industry to disappear, because the market is too small to sustain himself, and we are too far away from the big market in the world.
Africa is starting to open up as a new frontier, and many people see South Africa as the gateway. And certainly for the automakers, there is a sense that you can manufacture and assemble cars for export into new African markets. What's Renault's strategy?
Same thing. I think we believe that South Africa is the gate to Africa, and we are very positive about Africa. I think, of course, for many, many years we're talking Africa is going to be the continent of the rebirth of Africa. And I've got the feeling that with the Asian development, China and India, what is the fuel of this country? They need raw materials. What is the biggest provider of raw material in the world is Africa. It's a fantastic opportunity to drive, to get some cash and to get focus from everywhere. China has done a lot of focus. Europe is starting to wake up. America is starting to wake up. I'm sure Africa is going to be the continent of the opening for the next century.
All right, on that optimistic note, I'm just going to say they're going to shake it, do it with a bit of va-va-voom. We're getting the views of Renault South Africa's Managing Director, Xavier Gobille. Do stay with us on Captains of Industry.